Good morning. Happy Wednesday, everyone. Welcome back to Rising. We, of course, have another great show for you today. We have Michael Starr-Hopkins and Patrice Onwuka here for Team Rising to talk about DNC employees unionizing.
And under pressure from progressive House Democrats, Joe Biden yesterday announced a new limited eviction moratorium. And Brianna Joy Gray is going to break down the results of the Ohio special election, where Shontel Brown beat progressive candidate Nina Turner. But first, we wanted to discuss the bombshell investigation that found New York Governor Andrew Cuomo sexually harassed multiple women, including current and former state employees, as well as women outside the government.
The investigation was led by Attorney General Letitia James, who says the governor engaged in unwelcome touching and created a hostile work environment for women. Authorities detailed the allegations made against Cuomo during a press briefing yesterday. Let's take a listen.
It was a culture where you could not say no to the governor. And if you upset him or his senior staff, you would be written off, cast aside, or worse. These were not isolated incidents. They were part of a pattern. The governor's pattern of sexually harassing behavior was not limited to members of his own staff, but extended to other state employees, including a state trooper who served on his protective detail.
He denied touching the state trooper, although he said he might have kissed her at an event. And there were certain things that he turned around and said that, for example, the executive assistant number one, that he did hug her repeatedly, but claimed she was the one who initiated the hugs. So it was a mixture of admitting to certain things, but putting a different spin on them and denying others.
As it relates to next steps, that's entirely up to the governor and or the assembly and the general public. But the work of the Office of the Attorney General and these special deputies has concluded.
Now up to the Assembly. New York Assemblyman Ron Kim joins us now to discuss Cuomo's response and how the Assembly plans to handle the allegations. Assemblyman Kim, welcome to Rising.
Thank you for having me on.
No, thank you for being here. So, there have been a lot of calls for him to step down from a number of your colleagues. Others have said that if he doesn't, it's time for the Assembly to impeach him. What is your take, and what are the next steps?
It's abundantly clear that this governor doesn't have the self-dignity to resign and move this state forward in the right direction. So it is up to us. It is incumbent on us. We have a moral and a legal duty now to remove him from his position of power, while we hold him accountable for a number of other things that he failed the state on in the last few months.
I'm wondering, does he have any support left at all? I mean, are there people that are kind of battling the other side, saying, no, let him stay?
I would imagine there are still people who are loyal that would speak up one by one, but so far, not one lawmaker in Albany has spoken to support Andrew Cuomo. Even with members who kept silent months ago, asking for us to give him some time, have come out strongly, at least internally among us, that this is enough, that we have to impeach him. He's not going to resign. We have to move this state forward.
So what are the practical obstacles to removing him at this point? And what are the political obstacles? Who should the public be kind of focusing their pressure on?
Well, we have a speaker who has given us as much time to come together yesterday. We had an emergency private meeting among Democratic lawmakers to build consensus on what we want. And he issued a statement, a very strong statement, saying to the public that our conference collectively believes the governor is no longer fit to serve the state of New York, and we will move expeditiously to remove him from his position. Now, the Judiciary Committee, who's been tasked to look at the impeachment investigation, will work closely with the AG's lawyers in the next couple of days to put together an impeachment process that is quick, swift, and just.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's my question is how long do you think this would take? What is the time frame?
Well, the lawmakers in my conference do not want to see this drag on for months, and the speaker made that clear. That is not the intent here. We want to get it done as soon as possible in the next few days, and get us back to Albany so we can move the impeachment process along.
And Assemblyman, you've been one of the leading critics of his handling of COVID-19, particularly in nursing homes, covering up the number of deaths, the shady bookkeeping. You mentioned that you wanted to hold him accountable for other aspects of his governorship. Is there consensus among Democrats to include the nursing home scandal, in this impeachment drive?
Well, that's what's holding up the impeachment process right now. Some of us want to include all the charges into one case. Others think that we have enough with the Aegis report. The top prosecutor of New York had come out with a 160-page plus report that says that he broke federal and state laws. It's very clear. He broke the law. Now we have a legal duty to remove him. And then we can hold him accountable as we impeach him for the other charges. I, for one, think we should move as quickly as possible and then continue to hold him accountable once we remove him from a position of power.
So Cuomo denied the allegations and even apologized to one of his accusers by name.
I want you to know directly from me that I never touched anyone inappropriately or made inappropriate sexual advances. Charlotte, I want you to know that I am truly and deeply sorry. I brought my personal experience into the workplace, and I shouldn't have done that. I was trying to help. Obviously, I didn't.
It's really interesting. I mean, do you think people are buying this? I mean, I listened to his entire speech that he gave, or his apology, and kind of saying, well, I have he did a lot of deflecting, and he also by talking about, well, there's women managers also who are in the office who are being accused of things. And he also blamed a lot of this on maybe age, or even culture. I know he's an Italian, right? So he's got Italian heritage. So, I mean, you've already said people really aren't supporting him at all. So you don't think this is going to help him?
If you look up gaslighting, this will be remembered as the perfect example of what gaslighting looks like. This governor must be held accountable. And let me just also acknowledge Charlotte and the 10 other women for their bravery and courage for speaking up and stepping up to hold him accountable. And by speaking truth to power at a time when our society and culture often do not believe in women, but they stepped up, and it is our duty to protect them and uplift their voice and make sure that this governor doesn't have the platform to gaslight and attack the survivors.
What role does the detail that's included in this report play? Is there a world where a different type of report comes out, maybe conducted as he first hoped by kind of a judicial loyalist, that comes in much vaguer and much shorter, and everybody just moves on from this? What is it about this particular report that has galvanized his opponents?
Well, it was his referral to the top prosecutor to conduct this independent investigation, and Tish James, the Attorney General, employed and deputized with some of the best independent lawyers, a former prosecutor, federal prosecutor, to take the lead in conducting an investigation. And there are thousands and thousands of evidence that came together to validate the stories of the 11 women who have accused this governor of sexual misconduct and assault.
President Biden and other prominent Democrats, including Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer, and Kirsten Gillibrand, have called on the governor to resign. But despite the pressure, Cuomo has so far reportedly refused. This is going to be really interesting to see how this plays out, I suppose. Maybe he's kind of thinking, well, if Governor Northam didn't have to step down, then maybe I could just kind of ride this out and it'll go away.
He is an executive without a mandate. I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Cuomo is an executive without a mandate. He has no partners at the local, state, and federal government, and has become a distraction for the state of New York at a time when we are possibly dealing with another wave of a Delta COVID variant. He's overseeing billions of contract dollars, which he's willing to leverage to save his own behind. That makes him an extremely dangerous politician at a time when we need politicians to put people first over their self-interest.
There does seem to be this new paradigm in politics that you just kind of wait out a scandal, call it Northam, call it Trump, whatever it is, and you just hope that the press moves on. But my sense is that it won't work this time, because the way that he moved on from the last scandal was by referring it to the Attorney General for an independent investigation. He doesn't have that out this time. But am I wrong? Do you think there's some way that he actually can just wait this out, and the Assembly or the Senate will drag its feet and won't get the impeachment together?
Well, I think the public is enraged. The voters came out in a recent poll this morning that says 60% of New Yorkers want him either removed, resigned, or impeached. So I think we have to respond immediately. But you're absolutely right. Whether it's Donald Trump or Andrew Cuomo, there is a pattern of corrupt executives in this country who think that they're above the law. And that is what is at stake here. It's about accountability and making sure to send a message to voters and the public that no one in this country, especially top executives, are above the law.
State Assembly member Yulie Ngo revealed that she has articles of impeachment against Cuomo already drawn up. And it's also noted here that the Assembly will begin proceedings if Cuomo doesn't step down. When do you think we're likely to see actual hearings? Because I think you're right that he's not going anywhere.
Well, the Judiciary Committee is meeting on Monday, and Speaker Hastie has committed to moving this forward as soon as possible. And whether between Yulie Ngo and other members, we are going to continue to push for an immediate process to push impeachment in the next few days.
Assemblyman Kim, thank you so much for your time this morning.
Thank you so much.
And we'll have more Rising for you right after this.